Power, fame, fortune. This is the inside world of large private jets. The desire to fly began in man's dreams. The culmination of this fantasy exists in reality at Associated Air Center in Dallas, Texas. Here, the world's elite governments, corporations, and individuals travel to fulfill their desire for VIP aircraft. These jets are the ultimate blend of art and science, created by the power of incredible wealth. Every aircraft is unique, each a monument designed by the owner. Only the extraordinarily wealthy can afford to join this exclusive club.
We've done quite a few head-of-state aircraft in Latin America and Africa and Middle East, and even some of the new Russian republics. We've done a couple of airplanes head of state for them, and then we've done a lot of just individuals and companies as well. We advertise very little. This type of work, you won't find it in the yellow pages or in the Sunday newspaper.
This brand new Boeing 737 Model 800 is designed for the private use of an individual who prefers to remain anonymous. After initially accepting the green airplane from Boeing in Seattle, Washington, the customer's crew flew the plane to the BizJet paint facility located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Boeing 737 aircraft will arrive both empty and unpainted. First, window plugs will be installed at certain locations where future access due to the unique furnishings would be difficult to access. Next, the initial hand sanding prepares the jet for priming. The sanding and application of the primer will take 12 to 15 days and require 17 people. First, they will apply 1 coat of corrosion-proof primer, then 2 coats of gray primer will be applied. Then a filler primer is used to hide the rivets. Along its journey, it is viewed with a careful eye by the owner's representatives and the project manager. The sanding and custom painting of this VIP aircraft will take 6 weeks. By comparison, the average time for the repainting of a 747 for commercial hauling is only 5 days. This time-lapse photography shows only a small part of the amount of manpower it takes to complete a custom paint job. A VIP paint job requires incredible attention to the finest details. They will use a higher quality of paint than the airlines use. They also use conventional paint guns rather than electrostatic paint guns in order to get a more even distribution of the paint. The exterior of the aircraft will be painted with a base color. 3 top coats of paint will be applied. Then it will take 4 days to mask off the custom striping and then paint it. Another 10 days will be required to complete the paint job. The stripes will be added on freehand from the initial renderings provided by the designer. All of these are reasons why it costs almost twice as much to paint a VIP aircraft as a traditional airliner. Before the aircraft is delivered, the owner's representatives and the project manager go over every part of the paint job, with even the smallest imperfections being corrected. Several exterior exposed metal surfaces will be buff polished to a high sheen finish prior to application of the protective coating process. This includes wing leading edges, door thresholds, and engine inlet collars. Finally, a Teflon protectant coating will be applied. When the painting is complete, the jet is rolled out onto the tarmac, where Boeing test pilots and the project manager will fly the empty jet back to Dallas. The aircraft is delivered from Boeing with standard airline insulation and an inexpensive carpet on the floor to protect the floorboards. Associated will have total responsibility for the complete interior design from concept to completion. They will first develop the floor plan. The interior color scheme concept will follow, then continue through the design process with renderings, color boards, and elevation drawings, all the way to the final design. The custom painting and interior were designed by Manuel Rivas. In the beginning, Manuel and Jim Smizek traveled to Geneva, Switzerland, where they met with the owner and his representatives. Jim's role at Associated was to initiate contact with the customer and discuss the type of interior and the layout that the customer prefers. This results in a floor plan, which in turn develops into renderings or illustrations of the interior. Next, a price, delivery time, and certification requirements beyond FAA are negotiated.
The stages the salesman goes through as far as the job encompassing, it starts with the initial conversations with potential customers, carries through initial design ideas and concepts for an interior, and continues through from the concept stages through the actual design development. We work with our own internal design department to develop a design based on the customer's likes and interests, and then carries through to a closing of a sale, if you will, on the interior, the completion, and typically as part of a salesman's role is to continue that involvement right to the delivery.
In Geneva, Jim and Manuel were informed of the owner's request for both the style of the exterior paint and the design of interior that was needed. Manuel and his associates began to work on the project back in Dallas. With the use of advanced computer systems and illustrative techniques, they began to fulfill the client's requests. These incredible renderings of the interior are now done almost exclusively on a computer. As the lead designer for the aircraft, Manuel Rivas's past clients include the Dallas Maverick 757. He follows the project from inception to delivery.
Well, the role for the designers here associated is the initial contact obviously is made by the salesman. Once that has been established and the customer has conveyed to the salesman what they're looking for in their aircraft, the salesman then gets together with the designer and we start trying to put together floor plans that'll represent what the customer is requiring, whether it's quite a few people just to move them from one place to the other, or maybe it's more of a personal type of aircraft where the customer would have his bedroom, maybe with a shower, maybe with a study, an office, and his entourage. So we get the initial input from the salesman in combination with the customer, and then we start trying to put together a picture representation of what the customer is requiring. Large aircraft that I've worked on have been a BBJ 700, the 737 700, and the 737-800, which is a BBJ-2. I've worked on the 757, and presently I'm on a wide body, a Boeing 767. One of the very first BBJ that we did here at Associated was for Huizenga, Wayne Huizenga, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, and a very nice gentleman. And he was quite happy with the finished product. We've done some for Tudor, Saliba in California, it's a construction company, and we've done some for some other heads of state.
After a brief one-hour flight from Tulsa, the jet arrives in Dallas. Inside of a hangar at Love Field, the aircraft will find a home for the next 7 months, while the engineering, fabrication, installation certification, and testing is completed. The work will begin immediately upon arrival. All systems are checked for proper operations so that repairs can be accomplished during the modification and to prevent any surprises at delivery. First, all of the fuel is removed from the jet, and then the jet is weighed in order to determine its initial weight without any modifications. Part of the fuel is then replaced in the wings and fuselage of the aircraft as part of the manufacturer's maintenance manual preservation requirements. The finished aircraft weight will be a primary consideration in the design, fabrication, and installation of the interior completion components. Each individual piece will be weighed and logged. The total weight of the conversion will be factored in for weight and balance computations and loadability of the plane. On this particular aircraft, a target weight will be not to exceed 17,500 pounds for the completed interior. It will again be weighed at the end of the modification before delivery to the owner. Inside the hangar, the plane takes its place next to another jet undergoing modifications. Required equipment removal for access includes cockpit seats, jump seats, selected avionics equipment, and floorboards. Even the brand new state-of-the-art cockpit is dismantled in order to accommodate the new wiring and additional electronics. The existing cockpit overhead panels will be modified as required to accommodate newly installed or modified cockpit equipment switching and indications. 2 universal cockpit displays, or UCDs, will be installed and integrated with the existing flight systems. Provisions will also be made for an external camera video interface. A data loader unit will be included in the cockpit for future software updates. In addition, the pilot seat's upholstery will be altered according to specifications of the owner to provide more comfort to the pilots during long trips. The crew seat and back cushions will be covered with sheepskin and have edge facings of leather. The new insulation is removed to allow the installation of the new structure that will support the interior. A totally new and comprehensive aircraft insulation package will be procured and installed to meet the owner's requirements for sound, vibration, and thermal comfort. Approximately 3,000 pounds of insulation will be installed. A custom large-body aircraft requires approximately 50 miles of additional wiring that weighs about 600 pounds. In the electrical shop, all of the wiring will be stamped, labeled, and identified by system. After the insulation is removed, the massive wiring of the jet begins as the initial bulkheads are added. All components and monuments shall be shock-mounted to the airframe through sound and vibration isolator mounts. These will result in the reduction of vibration and noise transfer into the cabin. During the first 2 months of the modification, the basic structure of the interior will be installed. In the meantime, the bulkheads, headliners, and valances are constantly being fit to adjacent components and peripheral systems until they are a perfect match. All bulkheads, doors, headliners, service panels, window panels, cabinets, and tables will be fabricated of lightweight, high strength-to-weight ratio honeycomb composite materials. All bulkheads and doors will meet all current decompression criteria. All furniture structures will be finished with hardwood molding, veneers, and fabrics per customer-approved color boards. The wood veneers will be approved by both the customer and associated based upon their availability from the Carl Booth Company. All of the moldings will be hardwoods to match the veneer's grain and color. Manually operated window shades will include tinted inner and outer panels for improved acoustics and to reduce high-altitude glare. Associated will design and install a state-of-the-art acoustical and thermal insulation treatment for maximum soundproofing. This combined treatment reduces the audible noise level in the speech interference level, or SIL, frequency range. This acoustical package is designed to be optimized at 39,000 feet and 500 miles per hour. The construction of a VIP aircraft is an extraordinarily complex task. Over 300 people work on this intense project. The entire effort is headed by Rick Pensorn, the president of Associated Air Center.
In the world, in this business, there are probably 3 or 4 major modification centers as Associated. And they've been in business for an extended amount of time, which helps their reputation. And probably out of those 3 or 4, Associated is ranked right up in the top with them, of which Associated is probably the #1 mod center in the U.S. right now that does corporate modifications. Purpose of why we like to do the documentary is that Associated Air Center's workforce is based on a team effort. We pride ourselves in quality, on-time delivery, and that's our reputation. And our purpose in participating in this documentary is just to show the world what this company actually does and what we have to offer and the consistency of quality and on-time deliveries.
After AAC and the customer have reached a definitive agreement, a project manager is assigned to the project. This highly sophisticated construction project is overseen by Jeff Potter. His job is to act as the liaison between the owner's representatives, Associated, and its vendors. All of the workflow passes through the project manager. The basis for the modification of the aircraft is the floor plan. Using the floor plan, renderings, and a written detailed specification, the project manager supervises the workflow.
Well, the floor plan basically is what the customer wants. He says, this is what I want. From there, we will go in and do design engineering. We'll actually do elevation drawings. Those elevation drawings are taken into the PDR, and from there the process goes. So the floor plan is basically there for everyone to see, and that's what the customer wants, and you build off of that into your detailed drawings from your elevation. Once you do those elevation drawings, you all have a meeting, and It's the first attempt to satisfy the customer to what he's wanting built and put in that airplane. So he gets to see the views looking inboard, looking outboard, looking forward, looking aft. And at the PDR, we present that, and if everything's okay, we proceed on. If not, we make changes, and then we'll come back for a CDR. The CDR is the critical design review. So at the PDR, we've made the changes to what the customer wanted, and at the CDR, we go over them to make sure all the changes were incorporated correctly, make sure no one's changed their mind along the way, and at CDR then we say that's the cutoff date, and there won't be any changes after that, unless of course the customer requested and it's going to cost him a little money and maybe delay the airplane.
For those owners who have difficulty visualizing reality from a piece of paper, a full-scale mock-up is created on the hangar floor. This real slice of a 737 gives the owner a feel for the jet that is to come. However, not all of the work will be completed in-house. The interior cabinetry will be constructed at Aircraft Interior Services located in South Lake, Texas. The construction of the interior components will be fabricated using lightweight, fire-retardant materials of fiberglass and aluminum Nomex honeycomb panels. This method of construction creates a high strength-to-weight ratio. A pre-fit of all cabinetry into the aircraft will be accomplished at Associated Air Center, with in-progress quality assurance inspections before going under the final application of decorative covering. The interior components will be delivered complete with all FAA certifications before the final installation. All of the seating is first class. The basic structure of the seat is provided by an outside vendor, and then the custom styling and upholstery is created by Associated. These chairs will take 5 months to complete. These seats have been sled tested and are rated to 16 Gs, or 16 times the force of gravity. All passenger seats will meet the Federal Aviation Regulations' latest 16G dynamic structural certification requirements. The individual seats are single-lever control. They track and swivel. They have single-button recline control on the inside of the arm. Also included are wing-back headrests with life vest storage under the base and single-button lazy-boy footrests with limited berthing capabilities. All couches will double as sleeper-type divans, and all sleepers will include sleeper belts in order to restrain sleeping guests. The altering of the floor structure and seat track structure will follow the Boeing method and FAA engineering guidelines. The headliners and valances for the interior ceiling are custom-made, fit, and covered with ultrasuede. Smoke detectors, individual reading lights, indirect lighting, emergency lights, entertainment and passenger address speakers, and emergency oxygen boxes are installed. The height of the installed headliner panels will generally be 81 inches above the floorboard structure. All materials will be treated with a flame retardant and soil-resistant additive. An associated cabin smoke detection system will be fabricated and installed in compliance with the applicable FAA certification for the aircraft. A passageway starting at the main lounge, extending around the VIP bedroom and VIP lavatory, and ending at the club lounge areas of the aircraft will be fabricated and installed on the left side of the aircraft. While the interior of the aircraft is being modified, a massive iron box made of I-beams is being built to test the furniture that will be installed in the cabin. The galley, buffet, and side ledges will all be built from scratch and must be able to withstand 9 Gs of force when fully loaded in the event of an accident. The worst-case constructions components require testing in order to substantiate the Mod Center construction techniques of the installation and the engineering analysis. In this instance, it is the main galley or kitchen cabinet assembly. Physical loads are applied at strategic points to simulate an actual crash. All attach points are measured and recorded as the load is being applied. Certain areas are measured for deflection. All must remain within limits for the testing to be successful. The Pull Test Center and associated engineering reports will take 4 months to build, and the final testing will be supervised by the FAA. The quality control on the modification of a 737 is critical. All engineering documents will be reviewed by an FAA-authorized Designated Engineering Representative, or DER. All mechanical engineering design consideration will focus on noise abatement and weight reduction. AAC will obtain an FAA Supplemental Type Certificate for the completed interior and the changes related to the aircraft systems. Ron Surratt is the Vice President of Quality Control for Associated.
I'm the Vice President of Quality Control with Associated Air Center. Being in the Quality Control Department, we're responsible for the airworthiness of the aircraft. We're also responsible for the quality of the entire finished product and the product that is delivered to the customer. These interior programs all have a very heavy involvement by the FAA. They're involved from the beginning of the project. They inspect all of the assemblies and components as they're being fabricated. They do in-progress inspections of the installations as they're going on in the airplane. When we get to the phase where we have completed the installations and we begin the ground testing, those are all witnessed by FAA personnel. Each phase of the ground testing, when we do water systems checks, cabin management system checks, smoke detection, oxygen system checks, and so forth, are all witnessed by FAA personnel.
From the lower cargo holds, which normally haul luggage, the auxiliary fuel tanks will be removed and preserved. These additional fuel tanks are often added to VIP aircraft for longer range. The aircraft can now fly over 5,000 miles nonstop. This is possible since only a small amount of luggage space is needed for the 27 VIP passengers, when compared with the standard 175 that fly aboard a traditional 737 Series 800 airliner. During the second 2 months of the modification, the interior begins to take shape. The interior furniture that has been fit returns to the back shops for decorative materials. Normally, wood veneer and wood edge molding will be applied. A vacuum flush bidet and toilet will be installed as depicted on the floor plan. An infrared motion detector is installed to activate the water system to prevent accidental depletion of the water supply. A custom semicircular shower and enclosure is fabricated and installed in the VIP lavatory as depicted on the floor plan. Access to the shower will be through a circular sliding door. A steam evacuation fan is also installed. The aircraft manufacturer vacuum system uses differential pressure to pull wastewater from the flush unit to the holding tank. A vacuum blower supplies the required differential pressure when the airplane is below 16,000 feet. Ambient to cabin differential pressure supplies the vacuum when the airplane is above 16,000 feet. The basic conditioned air system has been installed during production of the aircraft. During completion of the aircraft, the system will be extended and modified to provide even distribution of conditioned air for the particular cabin arrangement. In the main lounge, 9 single 16G executive swivel chairs and 2 16G divans will be constructed. The lounge will be furnished with 5 high-low dining tables with folding leaves. A decompression blowout feature is designed as an integral part of the partition and doors. Should the aircraft experience an emergency decompression, these panels would quickly blow out in order to stabilize the interior cabin's pressure. Beneath the aircraft are the avionics and the hydraulics that keep the plane in the air. The electronics bay is the heart of the aircraft's avionics. The exterior of the jet is covered with plastic in order to protect the custom paint job and to help keep it clean during the modification. The aircraft is powered by 2 General Electric engines and has an APU or auxiliary power unit in the back of the fuselage in order to provide power for the electronics and the air conditioner so that the jet engines can be started while on the ramp without any ground assistance. The Dallas Maverick 757 interior was completed at Associated Air Center and periodically returns for maintenance checks.
Well, an A check would be a very light check. It involves mostly servicing, some external and internal inspections of the airplane without major disassembly, and possibly some operational checks. A B check is a little more in-depth. It involves more functional checks. There may be some items that are required to be removed from the airplane and sent out for maintenance or recertification, such as life vest slides and the like. The C check is a more in-depth inspection. That's usually broken down in phases of a C check so that over, say, a 1-year period or 18-month period, you may do an inspection of portions of the fuselage, part of the wings, and maybe some of the other areas of the airplane. The next year you might do areas of the tail section, the lower baggage compartment areas, and it involves structural inspections as well as just a general condition type inspection.
Mark Cuban loves to fly in his Team 757 whenever the games take him on the road. During the third 2 months of the installation, constant refinements are being made. The installation of the interior is overseen by the owner's representatives and the project manager. Plastic covers the headliners as final trim and fit is accomplished to achieve perfect alignment and gapping as the cabin begins to take shape. The cabin management system provides for control of all functions with the cabin environments which require control. For example, ceiling lights, wash lights, and attendant call. The system is data bus-based and integrates all switch panels aboard the aircraft into a single system. The entire system is capable of operating through power fluctuations and aircraft power transitions and transfers. A decorative buffet cabinet will be designed, fabricated, and installed. This cabinet is to provide storage for the crystal, china, and silver flatware. It also includes a small refrigerator. 3 42-inch plasma monitor screens will be installed, along with 2 24-inch LED screens. The AAC Cabin Entertainment System, or ACES, is satellite TV and video on demand, capable of meeting the current and future entertainment system distribution expectations or customer demands. The ACES is capable of accepting more than 48 central audio and visual source inputs and distributing these source signals efficiently and effectively over a single coaxial line. Each seat location will have a passenger interface unit, a user switch panel, and an 8-inch LCD pop-out monitor. The ACES distribution equipment accepts the entertainment source signal from all of the source units, including the PA, VCR, DVD, CD, tape, Laserdisc, and airshow. The entertainment rack contains 6 DVD players and 6 CD players. Each individual lounge area also utilizes remote controls specific to their location. The single coax architecture provides for ease of problem troubleshooting, utilizing a laptop computer and a low-cost signal monitor unit. Here, the printer, fax, scanner, copier machine, and a network internet server computer will be located in the lower cabinet unit. The galley equipment will be a combination of airline and commercial domestic type equipment. It will include 1 main galley, 1 auxiliary galley, 1 storage area, and 1 double attendant seat. The club lounge will accommodate 8 single executive swivel chairs and 1 4-place sleeper divan. Underneath the divan will be storage area for a life raft. The exposed metal trim throughout the interior will be a polished 18-karat gold finish. In a granite finishing shop in Dallas, the owner's representatives and the project manager gather to inspect the final countertops. These tops must be in pristine condition and conform to the approved engineering drawing for form and fit. The 2 lounge areas begin to take shape as the main galley is assembled inside of the cabin. The main galley is too large to be built as one unit and must be built as assemblies so that it may fit through the cabin entry door. Outside of the jet, the hand polishing has begun. When all of the new components have been installed, the jet will be weighed again to make sure that it complies with the original manufacturer's weight and balance limits. The interior modification of the jet begins to reach completion. In the meantime, the jet is rolled out on the tarmac in order to test the satellite communications equipment. The pilot and owner's representative maintain a close watch over the proceedings. An Airshow 400 system will be installed in the aircraft and will provide video display information to the ACES head-end distribution system to supply flight parameter information of the customer's choosing to the passengers. This includes worldwide maps, altitude and speed indicators, along with a secure plane camera system capable of providing 6 external views of the aircraft in flight. You can see the ground, where you are heading, or you can see the view from beneath the fuselage. The exterior detailing continues, while inspectors check out the interior. Everyone who enters must wear booties to protect the custom carpet. The Calogridis carpet will be cut to individually fit the separate cabin areas. During the final month of the modification, the entire installation reaches a fevered pitch as crews work around the clock to make sure that the airplane is ready for delivery on time. Paul Jones is a custom software designer who will write the software that will tie in all of the sophisticated passenger interfaces on board the aircraft. including lighting, sound system, and monitor viewing.
What happens is when we change sources, of course, this gets you to a control page, so you actually have control over the DVDs that are in the back rack. So we can tell them to change discs, move forward, move in reverse, set up their displays, do menu controls and all that from this remote. We also now know that we've tuned the DVD to this front monitor, and then we've got, again, standard feedback so that I know that I've turned this on or turned it off.
The aircraft will contain 18 speakers and 5 subwoofers driven by a 600-watt amplifier. Fortunately, at 39,000 feet, you don't have to worry about the neighbors. A satellite communications system will be installed and interface to a PBX-type cabin telephone system. The cabin telephone system will provide seamless access to the SATCOM system from any of the 10 handsets strategically placed in the cabin. An additional digital handset will be placed in the cockpit and will be utilized as the master handset for incoming calls and system programming. Analog input and output ports on the SATCOM system will be connected to the network and internet server system, and multifunction fax and printer for data communication purposes. AAC will install an onboard network Internet computer server system, which will provide for an onboard Ethernet network for data communication between individual PCs connected to strategically placed Ethernet data ports in the cabin. The computer server system will have a modem interface to the SATCOM system to provide for data communications to terrestrial stations. The computer server system will interface with a multifunction fax printer to provide for onboard network printing. 3 therapeutic oxygen outlets will be conveniently located as approved by the customer in the cabin area for emergency use. The VIP suite will accommodate a queen-size bed with a sleeper belt and a 24-inch monitor. The bed itself will be able to tilt upward 3 degrees to compensate for the aircraft flying nose up. On the exterior, the jet is labeled experimental. Boeing test pilots and the FAA will come in to both fly the airplane and inspect the aircraft in order to make sure it is up to their safety standards. While experimental, the jet has to stay within 500 radius miles of Dallas due to regulations.
Well, when we go into experimental, it's because we've changed that airplane from its type certificate. When Boeing built the airplane, it has a type certificate. Now, we've changed that airplane. So what we've done is with a supplemental type certificate. We've added that to the type certificate. Well, until that is actually approved by the FAA and certified, then you have to be in experimental to go fly. The first flight coming out of our facility will be from Boeing, just to make sure that we didn't affect any of the aircraft systems. Just to make sure that everything is working correctly, functioning correctly, and doesn't interfere with the way that airplane operates.
The aircraft begins its initial post-modification flight with Boeing test pilots. They are accompanied by specialists from Associated who monitor the cabin in flight. This flight verifies the modification by AAC has no effect on the normal operation of the aircraft and that it has remained airworthy so that the interior modification flight testing can commence. Then the aircraft will take its second test run with specialists from Associated, designated FAA inspectors, FAA pilots, and customer representatives. Pre-written test reports are accomplished to show compliance for proper operations of all systems installed, including water, drains, oxygen, lighting, entertainment, and communications. This test flight will include an 8-hour cold soak to confirm there will be no water lines freezing in flight. The customer representatives are allowed on board to accomplish initial flight squawking of the interior, paying particular attention to function and gapping of doors, joints, and tables. They also test the seats, tracking and swiveling, and the tables moving up and down. The jet is soon prepared for its final test flight before it goes to delivery for the owner. The plane will fly north towards Kansas for a 3-hour test flight. The aircraft will be checked for enhanced ground proximity, reduced vertical separation, recording of cabin sound readings, and any remaining discrepancies that were previously found.
I was put in charge by the owner to contact Boeing and take delivery of the airplane from Boeing, initiate the contact with the outfitters for a selection of one single outfitter, gave all the information to the owner, the principal, and he selected the altitude center based on the information I give.
The hot, steamy summer afternoon can be seen as the condensation from the air conditioner rolls down the aisle windows. The inspectors check the satellite phones to make sure that everything is operating correctly. High above the clouds at 35,000 feet and 600 miles an hour, the view is breathtaking. When the jet is in the air for her final test flight, inside the jet there is a beehive of activity. Sound readings are taken to measure the level of ambient noise. The interior is rapidly approaching the completion stage. Final touches are put into place. The jet is rolled out onto the hot Texas tarmac one more time, and with a final bon voyage to its home in Dallas, it heads for Geneva, Switzerland. And in a minute, it's gone.